Hey guys, you know, yesterday, I was at work or getting ready to start work. I noticed on my phone here that I'm using. I'm just checking outside for a second. I noticed on my phone here that Dalyxman was doing a live video by his phone, and I'm thinking, okay, what's this about? Now I didn't watch it until later. But basically, the title kind of gave me an idea of what he was talking about, or was going to talk about. And it was pretty much exactly what we thought. Alex Dalyxman, if you will, came out and basically talked about a hashtag that I guess he contributed to, or he talked about, I don't know. But it was a hashtag, Asuka deserves better. Now, in case you guys don't know what he means by that, I've mentioned it before in 2 videos already, but on Tuesday night, Asuka lost the Smackdown Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair. Now, some speculate there's a reasoning for it. You know, there's thinking about unification, stuff like that. You name it. Well, anyway, Alex came on there and talked about how basically Charlotte was put into a situation not Charlotte, but Asuka was put into a situation that she was not supposed to be put in to begin with. And that was the sacrificial lamb. Now look, I agree that Asuka shouldn't have been put into a situation to where Charlotte would beat her for a championship and thus tease the idea of a unification, even though Dave Meltzer is reporting, as I mentioned in my previous video today, I think I mentioned it, that one of the scenarios that WWE is strongly leaning towards is the stipulation that during the triple threat, that the only ones that'll have a chance to become double champions and be the winner take all, and be the winner of the winner, and basically be the winner-take-all champion, the only ones that will have a chance to be a double champion, have both belts, are the champions themselves. Well, Becky will be kind of like the odds woman out, with the only opportunity, with her having only one championship to go after. Now, the reason Dave Meltzer brought that up is because, long story short, one of the scenarios WWE is strongly leaning towards is having all 4 horsewomen of WWE be the last thing you see at the end of WrestleMania, holding all the championships up high. In other words, showing that they now own the women's division all throughout the WWE and mostly the main roster. And as great as that might be of an image to see, people still will argue that Asuka shouldn't have been put in a situation because of that, or shouldn't have been sacrificed just for the fact that, WWE wants to go in this direction, or is thinking about going with this scenario to end Mania with. Now, the winner take all I can understand because, like I said before, it would open the doors for them to have their tag team division really focused on, like they've been saying they want to do, both men's and women. And the women that don't get utilized, they could end up being put into tag teams, if you will, to help strengthen the tag team division and put more emphasis on these newly formed and established, well, not yet established, but these newly formed and christened women's world tag team titles. Now, as far as Asuka's situation goes, let's be honest. Like I said, did she deserve to be in this position? No, she didn't deserve it. But here's something that I'm not saying this to get anybody angry or get anybody's blood boiling. Okay. But we all understand and we all want certain individuals, men and women, to be treated better in WWE, to be given the opportunities that they deserve, that they worked hard for. for them to basically keep the character that they developed in NXT or in the Indies. We want them to keep that character. We want them to keep that repertoire. We want them to keep the full name. I get that. But here's the thing. WWE, if you will, well, let me put it this way. If these men and women were truly, truly unhappy with their positions, they would have done what previous, and even Alex, you brought this up, previous other talents had done. They would have walked out. They would have walked out, sat at home, waited for the contract to be up, or sat at home and, like I said, waited for the contract to be up, and, just wait for the opportunity to be free from the company for good. Basically wait out the contract, if you will. They would have left a long time ago and just sat at home or just done some other things they wanted to do, other projects, spend time with family, and wait the contract and wait out the contract for the contract to be expired. But then wait out the additional 90 days possibly that they would have, because of the fact that we all know there's a 90-day non-compete clause. So basically, let's say a wrestler has 6 months remaining on the contract and they decide, you know what, I'm sick of this, I'm just going to stay home and wait out the rest of my contract. They have essentially 120 days, and in addition to that, 230 days before they can do anything. I mean, yeah, they can make appearances on indie shows, maybe, but they can't really do anything if they, get on television or get on camera-wise, without getting in trouble. They in that being legal trouble, they can't do it. So, all these people that Dalyxman mentioned, that Alex Dalyxman mentioned in his video yesterday, yeah, they've all done this. They've either asked for the release and they've been granted their opportunities to leave, or they've walked out of the company and waited out the remainder of the contract before they could be, as well as the 90 days that came along with it, before they could actually get to do more than what they want, or do more things outside of WWE that they couldn't while they were still part of them. And here's the thing. Like I said, here's the thing. If these men and women were so frustrated with their roles in WWE and being put in positions to where, as some people put it, became the sacrificial lambs for other superstars to either move a story for that superstar forward or whatever, they would have walked out a long time ago. They would have asked for the releases a long time ago. And I know people are saying, well, the Revival's been doing that for a while. Here's the thing. WWE knows the Revival wants out, but they don't want to lose them. And here's why. Anytime they hear that somebody wants out of the contract because they're not happy, or because of this or that, it's mainly due to the fact that WWE hears the rumors. Obviously, they have people that pay attention and hear these rumors, hear these reports, that the only reason, and in their minds, the only reason that these talents want out of the contract is so they can go to AEW. And WWE is like, that's the last thing we don't want. We don't want certain talents to leave us because we know exactly what's going to happen, and despite us, we know what's going to happen with them if they go there. So they're not letting that happen. They're not letting that occur. And these talents probably know that, which is why these talents will come out and they will basically, in their own subtle way, address these rumors and say, yeah, don't believe everything you hear, or yeah, when did we say this or that? The point is, yeah, some of these talents do deserve better. Asuka deserves better as her, in her, ever since she came up to the main roster, and especially her reign as SmackDown Women's Champion. She did and does deserve better. Shinsuke Nakamura, the same thing. Rusev, same thing. The Revival, same thing. Anderson and Gallows, same thing. All these names, all these men and women, like Asuka, Lana, Lacey Evans, you name it. All these men and women that have, that people will come out and say became sacrificial lambs or basically got buried, if you will, by WWE. Here's the thing. These men and women wouldn't agree. These men and women, like I said, if they were frustrated a long time ago, then they would have done what several others had done before them and just walk out and never look back. But they don't. They don't. You know why? Because they know that, there's other opportunities out there. And there's this one opportunity that's rising from the ashes, or rising up from the ground and building itself a nice foundation. And they could be part of this beginning, this new beginning. But they realize that they also have the business sense to realize that, as good as that sounds, new promotions like that have yet to show what they can actually do. Or have yet to show that they can be a success. So until they get their feet really wet and show that they can sustain themselves financially for maybe, let's say, a year, only then will you start having some of these talents that people feel are not being given the proper respect they deserve. Only then will you start seeing them show interest in a company like, let's say, All Elite Wrestling. That's the only way, in my opinion. Now, here's the thing. Here's something else that we're all afraid to. Well, we're not afraid. We're not afraid, but we all don't like to admit. If these men and women wanted out of WWE, like I said, they would have done it a long time ago. They would have pulled a Neville. They would have pulled a Stone Cold, and all that. They would have pulled a CM Punk. They would have done all that. But here's the thing. The one thing we don't like to admit. And that is when these men and women get told by WWE that they're going to be put in this situation to where, they might get a surprise upset over such and such superstar because the storyline calls for it, but then they're going to get the hell beat out of them by said superstar that they've upset. Here's what happens. Majority of the time, they agree to do it. Now, could they do what Gail Kim did in her last run with that company and basically not do the job? Yeah. I mean, we all saw Gail Kim in that one Battle Royal just eliminate herself because she was sick and tired of the crap. She sent her own little message. But guess what? All these other men and women could do something similar, but they don't. Why? Because they are going by what WWE is telling them. Look, you think Asuka would have agreed to drop the belt to Charlotte if there wasn't a bigger plan in store for her? No, she wouldn't have. So obviously somebody on the SmackDown creative team, maybe Triple H, said, look, you got to do this, but but don't worry, we have a bigger plan for you. We have an idea of what we're going to do with you. Because remember, they got to build on the fact that she beat Becky Lynch. So what better way to build on that than to have her challenge Becky for the Raw Women's Championship if she ends up back on Raw? It makes sense. You get what I'm saying? It makes sense because she's the only one that's ever truly beaten Becky clean in the middle of the ring during Becky's hot streak. You see what I'm saying? So obviously they have reasoning. They have a reasoning behind it. Now, again, like I said, we don't have to agree with it. We don't have to agree with Asuka having to, job to Charlotte just so we can get maybe towards a unification match, which again is a possibility, but we don't know. They could be leaning towards that or what I mentioned earlier. Or, like I said, again, so I'm tired right now, and this is on the fly, so I do apologize. But like I said, we may not like it, but if they have plans for her to, like I said, feud with Becky and play off the storyline that she's the only one that's beaten Becky cleanly during Becky's hot streak, then that's going to work. And that would be a good reasoning for this. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But that's the thing. That's the thing, folks. That's the thing that I know a lot of people don't want to admit. And what they don't want to admit is these men and women wouldn't agree to do the job if there wasn't something in it for them in the long run. And if the person that's telling them is someone they could trust, like let's say a Triple H that they've trusted since their days in NXT, that, hey, don't worry, we're going to give you something in return for doing all this, for going through all this, then I think they have a right to believe him. Especially since he's come out and admit, yeah, the reason these NXT talents don't get over the way they should is because Vince doesn't pay attention to the storylines or characters, or the storylines or character progression in NXT. And that's saying something right there. So, in the end, someone has to be talking to them and saying, look, we understand, I feel for you, I understand, I don't like it more than you do, but don't worry, I'm going to make sure this is made up to you, we're going to make this up to you. If that's someone, like I said, is someone they could trust, like a Triple H, then, yeah, I don't blame them for probably agreeing to do the job if they have to do it, Like I said, are these some of the best booking decisions, especially if they're part of a wrestling-oriented show like Smackdown? Are they some of the best ideas? No. But guess what? These talents wouldn't agree to do these scenarios or these scenarios or these jobs or put others over that don't need to be put over any more than they are if there wasn't something in return. And I think the one that's talking to them about something being in return for them is Triple H. I really do. Because obviously, the Revival, Asuka, and those that came up from NXT, Ricochet, Aleister Black, obviously they are in agreement that they can trust Triple H and that they know something will be in store for them in the long run. But whatever that's going to be, we're just going to have to wait, because apparently the rumor is after Mania that Triple H is going to take more responsibility backstage as far as booking and maybe running the shows, because Vince is going to probably step down, not completely, but just step away a little bit so he can focus on the XFL. So, if that's what's going to happen in the long run, and the rumor is WrestleMania is going to be about change overall, then I will have to wait and see if perhaps most of that's going to be true. And if it is, then the change we're going to get is going to be worth it in the end. But we'll just have to wait and see what they do, and see what's accomplished here. But again, I agree. Asuka did not deserve to be put in that scenario, but obviously she wouldn't have agreed to it if she wasn't going to get something in return. And what I believe she's going to get in return is a possible rivalry or feud with Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship if she gets moved over to Raw during the International Superstar Shakeup. So don't be surprised that might be why Asuka agreed to do this. So in the end, guys, you know, does a lot of these talents like Asuka deserve better? Do they deserve to remain as they were in NXT when they come up to the main roster? Absolutely. And hopefully, maybe that's what happens. Maybe they get back to being who they were in NXT once Triple H gets more of a foothold, more of a foothold, more of a real hands-on, final word kind of positioning after WrestleMania. We'll just have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys all think about what I've had to say here, and about, Asuka deserving better, because she does deserve better along with some of the other talent. But let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear what you have to say on this situation. And I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.